I've gone back to NHL 17 and Austin Matthews' rookie year, and I'm going to rebuild the Toronto Maple Leafs. Except the team I built here is going to carry over the next 6 games, and I want to see how many Stanley Cups we can win. So obviously what helps here is I know the future for the league, and I know how players are going to develop, and there's 3 key guys I want to go after. The first one, of course, is Connor McDavid. That one's very self-explanatory. The next guy is going to be Leon Draisaitl. That one's pretty self-explanatory too, but he's going to be incredibly easy to trade for because he only has low elite potential right now. So I can guarantee he's for sure coming to the team. And the third player is going to be Andrei Vasilevskiy. He's going to become the best goaltender in the game, so of course I got to bring him onto the team. So I'm going to build the best possible team I can right now, but also worrying about the future because I can only make moves in this game. And I'm going to go through every single team because I'm going to try to get as many steals as possible. And from the Anaheim Ducks, I'm going to be looking at these 2 defensemen right here, Shea Theodore and Brandon Montour. And with both of these guys on the rookie deals, it's going to be very easy to fit under the salary cap, and they also don't have a ton of trade value, so we could be bringing 2 huge pieces onto the team pretty early. And just to show how things have changed in the entire league, Tyler Bozak's going to be the main piece for this trade. I'm going to acquire Shea Theodore and Brandon Montour for Tyler Bozak. So the first deal I'm going to be offering is going to be Tyler Bozak and Zaitsev for Shea Theodore and Brandon Montour. Of course, they're going to be saying no to this. And yes, I did already offer this trade, but I screwed up the voiceover, so I had to do it again. It's the way she goes. So I'm going to add a 2nd round pick to the deal, but in exchange, I'm going to want 2 more 3rd rounders. This deal is going to get accepted, and we're bringing Brandon Montour and Shea Theodore onto the team, and we only lost Tyler Bozak. So I can definitely live with that. Looking through the Arizona Coyotes roster, really no one interests me here except for one guy. That's going to be Anthony Duclair. He has pretty low trade values, an 83 overall. In a few years, he'll be up to like an 85, 86. He might be a good 4th line piece for us, but I'll come back to this one. The Boston Bruins are another team that's not really interesting me. Although there's a bunch of great players here, none of them are really going to develop that I can get for a cheap price, so I think I'm going to be passing on this team. Hey, this is stick on the ice the following day. So players that don't develop, huh? Yeah, I mean, I guess this guy named David Pasternak's an absolute bust, huh? Hopefully not picking Pasta doesn't age poorly for this team. So one guy I'm definitely looking at is Linus Ullmark. Of course, he's one of the best goaltenders in the league right now. He's about to win the Vezina, but he doesn't really develop until the later NHL games, so for the first few years, I'm not really sure if we can rely on him. Also, shout out to that medium backup potential he has. They didn't believe in you, and a lot of other people didn't because you were a 6th round pick, but you proved everyone wrong. Good work. So of course there's some obvious choices in Jack Eichel because we already know he's going to develop into like a 90 overall, and he's a solid player throughout his entire career. But do I really want to give up that much to get Jack Eichel? That's the real question. Like, he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but for how much I would have to trade away to bring him onto the team, I can guarantee you I can trade a 2nd rounder and get Leon Draisaitl because his value is that low. And speaking of Jack Eichel, he was drafted with the 2nd overall pick, and you know what's coming up? The NHL draft. So if your team has a pick in the upcoming draft, then you have to sub to the channel and drop a like on the video. Let's get 1,500 likes. All right, Sebastian Aho, you're coming to the team. You develop into like an 89 overall, and you're going to be a fantastic piece for this team. That's not even up for debate. And there's also a couple other guys on this team I might contemplate bringing in. Brett Pesce's one of those guys I'm on the fence about. So we're going to try this trade out. Frederick Gaucher and Jake Gardiner for Sebastian Aho and Jacob Slavin. I decided not to go with Brett Pesce. I want Jacob Slavin instead. They're going to say no to this deal, but we got a few picks in the last trade, so I'm going to add those in. And with the 2 3rd round picks got from the Anaheim Ducks, I'm including him into this trade, but they're still saying no to that. So I'm just moving on from Jacob Slavin, and I'm just going to bring Sebastian Aho to the team, including a 3rd rounder. They're saying no to that, but I'm going to get this deal done. So I'm just going to give up trying to bring in additional assets with this trade. Frederick Gaucher for Sebastian Aho, welcome to the team. Yeah, they're saying yes to that. We finesse this team. Okay, there's a handful of guys on the Columbus Blue Jackets I'm looking into. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Zach Werenski, and William Karlsson. All those guys are fairly low trade value, and they all develop into pretty solid players, so I'm thinking I might do a massive deal here. So in exchange for Jake Gardiner and Josh Levo, I'm going to be bringing in Pierre-Luc Dubois and Zach Werenski. I guess not. We're going to have to add a bit more to the deal. They're also saying I'm wasting their time, but if I had a 3rd round pick into this deal, I'm no longer wasting your time. Alright then. That makes a lot of sense. With Calgary, of course, I would love to bring in Matthew Tkachuk, but I'm not giving up that many assets for him. Like, I would have to give up half the team. On the Chicago Blackhawks, there's 2 guys I'm looking at right now. Artemi Panarin and Alex DeBrincat. We're basically acquiring a 92 overall and an 88 overall in this deal. So with the Blackhawks, I'm going to send them a 3rd round pick, JVR, Reichel, and Komarov over for Artemi Panarin, DeBrincat, and 1 extra player just so we can make the rosters fit. I'm proposing this trade, but they're saying no to it. But I'm going to add another asset and try to get this deal done. Probably a 2nd round pick should get it done, but I don't want to give up too much more than that though. 2nd round picks. Also, I hate in this game how it just disorganizes everything. Unorganizes it, whatever the right word is. A 2018 2nd round pick over to the Chicago Blackhawks. Can we get this deal done? No, we can't, but we're pretty close. So I changed up the deal a bit. I took JVR out of the deal and added William Nylander, and I made it a 3rd round pick instead of a 2nd, offered that over to the Chicago Blackhawks, and we just brought Artemi Panarin and DeBrincat onto the team. There wasn't anyone on the Colorado Avalanche I could bring in on a reasonable price, but I'll bring Rupe Hinson. So Connor Brown, Jay Walker, and Kay Middleton over to the Dallas Stars for Rupe Hintz. Why are you saying no to this deal? I mean, obviously they would say no to this deal in retrospect, but I mean, I'm pretty sure we're offering more trade value. I'm just going to keep on adding guys with AHL potential into this trade package because I don't really want to give up anything valuable. Andreas Johansson, you're a part of this package now. And we got to take someone from Dallas. I'll just take whoever has the lowest trade value. I don't really care who it is. Sure, I'll take you onto the team. So all of this for basically Rupe Hintz. What else do you want? I completely forgot what I was missing in this trade package. A 6th round pick. Because that makes all the difference. I'm going through the assets Detroit has, and I've come across Hronek. Bro has AHL top 2 potential. 0 trade value. Yeah, I'm bringing you in. Even if you never play, I'm still bringing you onto this team because why not? So Roman Polak for Hronek. Thinking on how the future turns out and how this trade would have aged, nah, Detroit fans would be in the absolute trenches. But we're officially on to the Edmonton Oilers, and it's time to make the biggest move of the video, or one of the biggest moves. Leon Draisaitl, low elite potential, basically no trade value. And I'm also going to try to get Darnell Nurse in this deal, because he doesn't have that much trade value, and he does develop into like an 86, 87 overall. No, that's an incredible move. So in this deal, I'm going to be sending Timashov, or whatever this dude's name is, I definitely butchered it, and Kapanen for Leon Draisaitl, Darnell Nurse, a 3rd round pick, and a 4th round pick. They're going to say no to that, so I'll just take the 3rd round pick out of the deal, offer the exact same package. They're still saying no. I'll take the 4th rounder out. They're still saying no. All right then. So I'll take out Kapanen and add Soshnikov to the deal, offer that one over. They're still saying no, but we're only a bit off in value. So here we go, added another AHL player, had to take a player on from the Edmonton Oilers. We've got this deal done, and Leon Draisaitl and Darnell Nurse are now in the Toronto Maple Leafs. On the Florida Panthers, they got Jonathan Marchessault, an 83 overall at 25 years old. This was his breakout season, but this was before the breakout, and he only has low top 9 potential. So I'm trading for him and I'm bringing him onto the Toronto Maple Leafs. The Conn Smythe winner. Who would have thought? So Carl Gunstrom and Joffrey Lupul for Jonathan Marchessault. I'm actually very surprised they're saying no to that. I thought they were going to accept that. And it also gets $5 million off our books, so yeah, let's add a few more assets. Nothing a 3rd round pick can't solve, but we're giving up quite a bit for Jonathan Marchessault, but I'll still take it. Oh, they just don't want Joffrey Lupul's contract. If I take him out of this deal, can I get it done? So Gunstrom and 2 4th round picks for Jonathan Marchessault. They're saying yes to the deal, and we've got ourselves a Conn Smythe winner. So we've reached the LA Kings, we got Kempe here, and we already know how he ages throughout the next NHL games. He becomes a 40 goal scorer. So if I can get him for a very cheap price, it might be worth it to play on our 4th line. So I've got 3 prospects that have basically absolutely no trade value, but when you add it all up, it's more than Kempe over to the LA Kings, and we just brought Adrian Kempe onto the team. You love to see it, you really do. Looking at the Minnesota Wild, Alex Tuch's a guy on the trade block, and he'd be a great piece to the team, but I feel like we can get a better asset than him, and I don't really want to give up too much. Then again, I just did give up how much for Kempe, and he doesn't really develop into the last 2 games, but that's neither here nor there. Looking at the Montreal Canadiens, this was right before Sergachev got traded, and he'd be a fantastic addition to our defense. So I'm going to try to trade for him, but he's not the only guy I'm acquiring, as I also want Philip Deneau. So this is what we're going to offer for Sergachev and Deneau. James Van Riemsdyk, Kapanen, and a 2nd round pick. We've got ourselves a great defenseman along with the bottom 6 piece. I think this trade's going to work out for us great in the future. Also, Brandon Montour is now our captain. Alright then. Alright, that's enough trades worrying about the future because we also have to build a team that can compete for a Stanley Cup right now. And every trade I've made is for 3 years down the line. So we have to do something that's going to help right now. And honestly, I don't see anything from this New Jersey team helping us too much. Okay, I'm taking back that statement because Jordan Kyrou has high AHL top 6 potential. I'm bringing this dude in for like a 5th rounder. So Joffrey Lupul and this guy for Jordan Kyrou. They just don't want the Joffrey Lupul contract. If I retain some of it, can I get this deal done? So I'm just going to retain half. Because, I mean, it doesn't really matter how much I retain. We're still getting Jordan Kyrou. Yeah, this could be the move. There we go. Jordan Kyrou, welcome to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So now this is the main guy I'm looking at. Andrei Vasilevskiy, low elite potential. The Tampa Bay Lightning want to get rid of him. I will gladly take Andrei Vasilevskiy onto our team. I'm not going to say no to this man. So I'll give you a 1st round pick for him, and that's about it. 1st round pick for Andrei Vasilevskiy. Nothing else. I should have asked for more. And I just recalled who I should have asked for. Oh, I screwed that one up. That's an L stick on the ice moment because there's one other guy I want to add to this deal. And he has one of the lowest trade values on the Tampa Bay Lightning. It might be the lowest. Is it? Nope, but it's pretty close to the bottom. Where is it? Oh, actually, it's kind of in the middle. Braden Point. I could have brought Braden Point onto this team in that deal. No, that's a tough one to process right there. So there we go. Lindbergh and Dermott for Braden Point. I screwed this up. I could have got Braden Point Vasilevskiy in that one deal, but no, I got greedy. Well, I shouldn't say I got greedy. I just did it way too quick, and I completely forgot about bringing him onto the team. That's a tough look. Okay, so I'm looking at the Ottawa Senators here, and Mark Stone's really piquing my interest. He's going to be an 87 overall and higher for the rest of the games. He helps the team now, and he's going to help them in the future. So I think this is a good move for us, as long as we don't have to give up too much. So Connor Carrick and Bracco for Mark Stone. I'll take that deal any day of the week. So I've moved on to the Winnipeg Jets because I'm looking for more depth players for us, and I came across Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey. Both of these guys on cheap contracts, low trade value. I know the future, and they're going to develop quite well. So I'll give you Andrew Nielsen for both of them. Maybe not. I will give you something else as well. Also add a 3rd round pick into the deal, and hopefully that's enough to get it done. Not quite, but all I gotta do is add like a 7th or something. So here's a 5th. Does that make the difference? Yes, it does. Kyle Connor and Josh Morrissey. Welcome to the Toronto Maple Leafs. So I'm going to add Kempe to that same deal. Hopefully that gets it done. It's not enough. That's it. I'm just going to add a 2nd round pick. Who really cares at this point? Picks aren't valuable. Yes, I'm in the year 2019 for picks. Like, I've basically used up all of 2017 and 2018. That doesn't matter. Here's a 2019 2nd round pick for Philip Forsberg. All right, screw it. I'll give you 2 1st round picks for him. That is a lot of assets for Philip Forsberg. Ain't no way you just said no to this deal. So I moved on from Philip Forsberg, and I'll just bring Jacob Slavin and Elias Lindholm onto the team. That's not going to be enough. I'm honestly not surprised by that. I really didn't include that much into the deal. So list pick, you're going to be the big difference maker here, aren't you? You're going to get this deal done. Nope, you're not? All right. What else can we add to this deal? Nothing a 2nd round pick can't solve. Send that over as well. And Jacob Slavin and Lindholm, welcome to the team. I think that's the last of our trades, because I think we're in a good position now. I completely forgot we still had Freddie Anderson on the team. He has a lot of trade value. I could have definitely got Philip Forsberg. And I think one of our last moves is going to be Freddie Anderson, a 1st round pick for Ekblad. That's not enough. Okay, I might throw Jacob Slavin into this deal. If we have to lose Jacob Slavin, that's not the end of the world, because Ekblad is better right now, and he will be for the rest of the sim, so yeah. Okay, I need to sweeten the touch. Okay, 5th round pick, and this deal's over with. There we go. Freddie Anderson, 1st round pick. Jacob Slavin, a 5th round pick for Aaron Ekblad. Okay, what else do you want? I'll give you a 4th then. So here we go. The final move I'm going to be making. Freddie Anderson, a 1st round pick. Jacob Slavin, and some other guy. Doesn't really matter. Aaron Ekblad. Welcome to the team. What else do you possibly want? I've tried this trade multiple times now. He keeps saying, oh, add a bit more, add a bit more. You know what? Here, is that a bit more? A 3rd round pick. We're getting finessed at this point, but hey, we get Aaron Ekblad, so I'll take it. So this is what the team's looking like after all the trades have been made. Obviously, this team's not winning the Stanley Cup in year 1, and probably not in year 2. But once we get to year 3 and year 4, no, we're going to be one of the best teams in the entire league. Like, look at the defense here. This is going to be absolutely phenomenal in 2 years. And our goaltending tandem, yeah, I'm definitely not going to complain about Andre Vasilevsky and Darcy Kemper. I'm pretty sure we can work with that. On top of that, we still have a ton of guys in the system. Montour, Zach Hyman, Sergachev's here. I know Jordan Kyrie's down there. So I'm going to make sure I bring all these players over. So with all that said and done, let's go ahead and simulate year 1. So things aren't looking too great for the Toronto Maple Leafs, as we're sitting 34, 39, and 9, and we're 6th in the Atlantic Division. Now, I didn't expect us to be good this season, but I also didn't expect us to be this bad. I was thinking we would be sitting around the 17-18 spot, but here we are. But I know for a fact this team's definitely going to be better next season and the season after, so I don't really have to worry about it. Okay, I actually understand why we didn't finish higher now. Our Artemi Panarin's leading the way with 21 goals and 45 helpers for 66 points. To lead the team with only 66 points actually says quite a lot about this team. And of course, the main piece of the big three in Austin Matthews, William Nylander, Mitch Marner. Matthews is leading the way out of the three, picking up 59 points this season. The goaltending situation is also obviously not going to be looking that great, with Vasilevsky only picking up 25 wins with a 905 save percentage and whatever his goals against is. Where is the goals against? Oh, it's beside wins. A 294. Yeah, that kind of explains a lot. Also, a massive shout out to Nick Backstrom. He's leading the entire league in points with 109, but he's only picking up 92 assists. Come on, my guy, you gotta crack 100. That's the least you could do. And in between the pipes, we're gonna have Martin Jones picking up 52 wins, if this loads, and also doesn't go to assists. Yeah, I already looked at this. He picked up 52 wins, a 217 goals against with a 925 save percentage. So the San Jose Sharks are a pretty solid team. But in the postseason, when it mattered most, the St. Louis Blues are going to go on a run, cruising through the first 3 rounds. Although the Minnesota Wild took them to 7 games in the first round, that's neither here nor there. They made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, and they're taking the Rangers down in 6 games. Alright, so this just happened. Leading the St. Louis Blues in postseason points, Nail Yakupov. Alright, let's just get into our next game. So we've officially moved on to NHL 18. I'm going to keep it 1,000. This team did not get any better. Like, certain players did get better, but there's a lot of guys taking steps back. Like, Panarin declined, Marchessault declined. Shea Theodore's not even in the lineup anymore. Like, go to the AHL defense. Where's Shea Theodore? Right here. Bro dropped 3 overalls. I was thinking this guy was going to help carry the way for us. He's washed. at 22 years old. Way she goes, I guess. But we do have a ton of guys stepping up. Zach Werenski's moving up to an 86 overall. Sergachev's up to an 83. But Aaron Ekblad dropped 2 or 3 overalls. He's down to an 85. We still have a solid defensive core, but I'm just shocked at the amount of players that dropped in overall. And in between the pipes, we still have Vasilevsky and Kemper, so I'm not too worried there. So for a team that didn't get much better, here we are sitting with a 53-21-8 record, first in the Atlantic Division. We're also first in the entire league. Meanwhile, St. Louis is third in the entire league, so we gotta give a quick shout out to them. But no, real talk, how did we finish first? Like, that doesn't make any sense. This team didn't get better. Everyone on the team, except for like 6 players, got worse than overall. Austin Matthews might have helped the cause as he was absolutely dominating this season, picking up 30 goals and 60 helpers for 90 points. Stone's picking up 86 points while Panarin's picking up 83. Vasilevsky was also pretty solid this season, 43 wins, 7 shutouts, a 913 and a 245. And Kemper, he did his thing as the backup, nothing to complain about there. Also, Matthews led the entire league with 90 points. Don't know how 90 points is leading the entire league, but I guess it is. So we finally made our first postseason appearance, and we're going to be taking on the New Jersey Devils in the first round. We're entering game 3, and currently the series is tied 1 game apiece, and we're going to need a bit of overtime in this matchup. 6.5 minutes into overtime, Stone's got the puck in the right circle, and he's going to throw a shot towards Corey Schneider. But for some reason, Schneider's not going to be able to cover the puck, so Leon Draisaitl is going to bury the OT winner. After that, the Toronto Maple Leafs would cruise to a 3-1 series lead, and now we're entering overtime in game 5. In the final minutes of overtime, Mitch Marner's going to be picking up the puck in the offensive zone, and he's going to tee one up from the left circle, beating the glove of Corey Schneider, and Toronto's off to the next round. And in the second round, they're going to have their hands full with the Tampa Bay Lightning. And it's also important to note, Tampa now has Freddie Anderson. I know he wasn't traded to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the last game. When I did the player movement and had to move everyone over, I just gave Tampa our best goalie, who was Freddie Anderson, since I took their best goalie. After taking game 1, game 2's been a scoreless one the entire way so far, so we're going to need a bit of overtime. With 5 minutes left in overtime, Kyle Connor's going to get the puck in the corner, and he's going to sauce it over to DeBrincat. DeBrincat's throwing a shot towards the net, which Freddie Anderson's going to save, but Kyle Connor's going to be right there for the rebound. He's going to put this one in the back of the net. And after that game 2 win, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to keep on cruising, and they're taking Tampa down in 5 games. Moving on to the conference finals, we're now taking on the Washington Capitals. So right now, things aren't looking too good in the conference finals as we're down 2-0 in the series, but now we're off to overtime in game 3. 6 minutes into overtime, Sebastian Aho is bringing the puck into the offensive zone, and Leon Draisaitl is going to pick up the loose puck that was poked away. He's going to quickly find Mitch Marner on the doorstep, who's going to put this one in the back of the net, and Toronto's back in this series. After that overtime goal, Toronto would be able to get back into the series, and now we're in game 7, and we're tied 1-1 with a minute left in the game. Regulation wouldn't be able to solve this one, so we're going to need a bit of overtime, and Austin Matthews is going to be picking up an assist on the game-winning goal. I have absolutely no clue who scored this goal, but it doesn't matter. We're off to the Stanley Cup final. And in the final, we're going to be taking on the Nashville Predators. The series against the Nashville Predators would be an absolute breeze as we're going to be taking them down in a sweep, and Toronto's now on their first Stanley Cup, and we're only in game number 2. Taking home the Conn Smythe is going to be Andrei Vasilevsky, who's putting up some incredible numbers of a 171 goals against with a 943 save percentage. And also a massive shout out to Morgan Rielly, who's going to be leading us in postseason points. He's got 4 goals and 11 assists for 15 points. Also, I didn't mention this in the last game, but we've won the Calder Cup in back-to-back years now. That doesn't really matter for anything, but I just thought it was an interesting fact. Heading into NHL 19, of course the team's going to be improving, but we're going to be seeing quite a few jumps. Mitch Marner's jumping up 5 overalls to an 89. Elias Lindholm's jumping up 4 overalls to an 86. Marcia is going to be going up 3 to an 86 as well, while Kyle Connor moves up to an 84 overall, while Braden Point's moving up to an 88. The defense has also seen a handful of upgrades as Morgan Rielly's going up 4 overalls to an 88, while Shea Theodore's jumping up 6 overalls and he's back up to an 83. Meanwhile, Vasilevsky's going to be jumping up 3 overalls, while Darcy Kemper's only jumping up 1. With this fantastic team, it's no surprise Toronto's looking great. They're first in the Atlantic Division, they're also first in the entire league, 54, 23, and 5. Things are looking great for this team. But even with all these studs on the team, Mitch Marner's going to be leading the way as he's picking up 21 goals and 61 helpers for 82 points, while Matthews is second on the team in scoring, but he's leading us in goals as he's picking up 42. And Vasilevsky, he's going to be looking absolutely dominant this season. 42 wins, 10 shouts, a 920 save percentage, and a 221 goals against. Let's go get ourselves another Stanley Cup. Also, shout out to Ilya Kovalchuk. At 35 years old, he's finishing 4th in league scoring. In the postseason, Toronto's going to get the chance to match up against a familiar foe as they got the Boston Bruins in the first round. And it's not going to take long for us to have an overtime matchup as that's where we're headed in game number 1, tied 2-2. So although it doesn't show on the scoreboard, we're in triple overtime right now as Aaron Ekblad's bringing the puck into the offensive zone. Austin Matthews is catching up to the play and he's going to drive right towards the front of the net. He's getting the feed from Ekblad and he's going to be ending this game and we're taking game 1. After taking a 2-0 lead in the series, we're headed back to overtime in game 3 as this one's tied 1-1. In game 3, we're only going to need a single overtime, but Boston's finally going to find an answer for us as Patrice Bergeron's going to be burying the OT winner to keep Boston in this series. Heading into game 4, I'm just doing the same thing I normally do, which is simulate the game, but once I clicked that, this is what happened. Yeah, for some reason the game's crashing every time I simulate now, so this is what we're going to be doing for the rest of this game. The Toronto Maple Leafs are taking down the Boston Bruins in 7 games. Entering the second round, they've got the Montreal Canadiens to take on. Montreal's going to put up a bit of a fight against us, but we're going to be taking them down in 6 games, and now we have our hands full with the Washington Capitals. And it looks like someone's finally going to have an answer for the Toronto Maple Leafs, as the Washington Capitals are going to be taking us down in 6 games. But in the Stanley Cup final, everything's going to be right in the world, as the St. Louis Blues are going to be taking the Capitals down in a 5-game series. Sebastian Aho was our leading postseason scorer, but he wasn't putting up incredible numbers. Nothing special there. Meanwhile, shout out to my St. Louis Blues and Vladimir Tarasenko. That's 2 Stanley Cups in this video so far. I can't skip over Binner's numbers though. I gotta showcase these. 16 wins, 5 shouts, a 951 and a 145. Those were the days. The good old days. Would have been nice to know those were the good old days. But here we are. Heading into NHL 20, we're not seeing any crazy overall jumps, but we still got a bunch of studs reaching 90 overall. Artemi Panarin, Leon Draisaitl, Mitch Marner. Looking at the defensive end, it's basically the exact same core leading the way for us, but Sergeyev's finally made the lineup. Meanwhile, in between the pipes, of course, we still got our 2 studs, but Vasilevsky's now up to a 91. The Toronto Maple Leafs would be an absolute dominant team this season, once again finishing with a 54-21-7 record. We're first in the Atlantic Division, and of course that means we're first in the entire league. But Tampa also is looking pretty solid, and so are the Dallas Stars. Both of those teams are picking up 50+ wins. We're definitely going to have to watch out for those boys. This time around, it's going to be Artemi Panarin leading the team in points, as he's picking up 32 goals and 57 assists for 89 points. While Austin Matthews, not a bad season from him, but it wasn't good by any means. 32 goals and 38 assists for 70 points. I'm expecting at least a point a game from you, especially at this point in your career. Meanwhile, David Pastrnak in the entire league with 98 points. I really should have picked him up. That was a massive screw up by me. But there's no point in dwelling on that decision, because we had the Buffalo Sabres in the first round and we're ready to make some moves. And we're looking to make moves early on, as we're headed to overtime in game 2 in a 1-1 tie. Sebastian Aho is going to be bringing the puck into the offensive zone. He's going to find Austin Matthews, who's going to throw the puck on net. Mark Stone's going to be right there for the rebound. He's going to bury this one in the back of the net, and Toronto's taking a 2-0 series lead. And the Leafs aren't going to be looking back after that overtime win, as they're going to be sweeping the Buffalo Sabres in 4 games. Moving on to the second round, we have a fantastic rivalry matchup, as we have the Toronto Maple Leafs taking on the Boston Bruins. After exchanging the first 2 games, we're headed into overtime in game 3. Halfway into overtime, Toronto's on the power play, and Austin Matthews is bringing the puck behind the net. He's going to send it over to Artemi Panarin. He's going to sauce over to Leon Draisaitl, who's in the slot. He's going to get a quick shot off, and that's in the back of the net, and Toronto's taking this one. They've got the lead in the series. And it doesn't look like the Leafs are going to be looking back after that one, as Artemi Panarin is going to pick up the empty netter in game 5, and Toronto's taking this series 4-1. So we've made it back to the conf, only 11 goals in 19 games. We get a chance at a rematch from the last game, as we got the Washington Capitals once again. After watching the Leafs dominate game 1, we're headed into overtime in game 2. Early into overtime, Leon Draisaitl's got the puck behind the net, and he's going to find Austin Matthews. Matthews is getting a weak backhander off, but that's not going to matter too much, as Leon Draisaitl is going to be right there for the rebound. Toronto's taking a 2-0 series lead. And every single time Toronto has a lead like this, they're not going to be looking back, and they're taking the Washington Capitals down in a 5-game series. And here we are, the Stanley Cup final once again. This time we have the Minnesota Wild to take on. This is going to be a good series between these 2 teams. It's not going to take too long before this matchup saw a bit of overtime, as that's where we're headed in game 1. And just 2 minutes into overtime, some nice pass from the Toronto Maple Leafs is going to find Mitch Marner. He's going to bury the OT winner, and Toronto's taking a very important game 1. And for the rest of this series, we're going to be going back and forth the entire way, exchanging goals. And here we are in game 7. We have a 3-0 lead entering the final moments, and I think it's safe to say that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be taking this one. They're taking Minnesota down in game 7, and once again, the Toronto Maple Leafs are Stanley Cup champions. And of course, we're going to have the same man leading the way for us. It's the guy holding it down in between the pipes, Andrei Vasilevsky, who's picking up 1 win with a goals against of 0 and a save percentage of 0. Yeah, so I guess some things just never change in NHL games. Meanwhile, in the postseason, surprisingly, it's going to be Kyle Connor leading the way for us, as he's picking up 5 goals and 14 assists for 19 points. With all the studs on this team, Kyle Connor's leading the way in the postseason. Gotta give a shout to him, wasn't expecting that. Meanwhile, what were Vasilevsky's real numbers? 16 wins, 5 shouts, a 928 save percentage, and a 202 goals against. This was by far our best pickup. Coming off the Stanley Cup in NHL 20, things are looking pretty solid for this team, because looking at the forward core, our worst guy here is an 86 overall. So I think it's safe to say we don't have to worry about our forwards whatsoever. On the defensive end, it's a similar situation, as Josh Morrissey's our weakest guy here at an 86 overall as well. But in between the pipes, we got Vasilevsky and Darcy Kemper still. That's never going to change, and I'm never going to have to worry about them. Like usual, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be absolutely dominating, finishing first in the Atlantic Division with a 56-22-4 record. And with a record like that, of course, they're going to be finishing first in the entire league. Mitch Marner is going to be leading the way once again this time around, 18 goals and 69 assists for 87 points, while Austin Matthews is taking a bit of a step back, 39 goals and 39 assists for 78 points. You're getting pretty close to a point a game, but you're still not quite there. But with the amount of talent on this team, the scoring's just so spread out, I'm not really overly surprised. Meanwhile, Andrei Vasilevsky's going to be taking a slight step back this season, 43 wins with a 906 out of 256. The regular season numbers don't matter to me as long as you step it up in the postseason. And in the postseason, we're going to be taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round. The Blue Jackets aren't even going to put up a fight against us, as we're going to be taking them down to clean sweep in the first round. Moving on to the second round, I'm expecting the Buffalo Sabres to put up a bigger fight since they took down the Boston Bruins in the first. But that's not exactly what's going to be happening, as once again, Toronto's going to be absolutely dominating, and they're taking the Buffalo Sabres down in 5 games. So we've already reached the conference finals, and now we're taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Similar to the Buffalo Sabres, the Penguins are going to be putting up more of a fight, but it's still not going to be enough, and we're taking them down in 6 games. So we've made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, and we haven't played one overtime game yet, and none of the games have been close heading into the final minute. That's why I haven't jumped into any games yet, but here we are at the Stanley Cup final. We're taking on the Dallas Stars. Hopefully this is a more entertaining series, and it looks like it's going to be, as we're headed to overtime in game 1 in a 2-2 tie. In double overtime, Kadri's going to be holding the puck up against the boards. Eventually it's going to be broken free, but it's going to work its way over to Alexander Radulov, who's going to go short side of Vasilevsky, and Dallas is taking game 1. Toronto and Dallas would be exchanged in the next few games, so we're entering game 5 with a 2-2 series tie, and now we're tied 2-2 in the game, so we need overtime once again. We're going to need double overtime once again, but this time around some nice passing from the Toronto Maple Leafs is going to give them a chance to end this one, and that's exactly what Leon Draisaitl is going to be doing. After taking a 3-2 lead in this series, it's no surprise the Dallas Stars aren't going to be folding, so in a game 6 elimination, we're going to be headed back to overtime once again. In overtime, the Toronto Maple Leafs are absolutely dominating, and off the ensuing face-off with them on the power play, some nice passing is going to find Austin Matthews on the doorstep. He's putting this one in the back of the net, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are Stanley Cup champions once again. But this time, it's not going to be Vasilevsky taking home the Conn Smythe, it's going to be Leon Draisaitl, who's picking up 44 goals and 67 helpers for 111 points. I don't know how they screwed that one up so bad. He didn't even have 111 points in the regular season. Looking at the postseason scores, Mitch Marner was actually our best forward, who's picking up 12 goals and 13 assists for 25 points, while Vasilevsky stepped it up big time in the postseason, 16 wins and 3 shots with a 930 save percentage and a 190 goals against. Moving on to NHL 22, the players on our team continue to prove, and now the lowest overall is an 87, and that's Jordan Kyrou. He's finally cracked the roster after all these years. It's good to see a member of the St. Louis Blues here. Meanwhile, looking at the defense, I'm pretty sure it's looking the exact same except for a few line adjustments. While in between the pipes, we already know who we're rolling with, Vasilevsky and Kemper, but both of them are going to be seeing overall upgrades. With this team continuing to improve, of course, the record's going to continue as well, as they're finishing with a 59-19-4 record. That's first in the Atlantic Division, and of course, first in the entire league. But shout out to my St. Louis Blues for finishing 7th. I have to take the little wins nowadays. In NHL 22, we're going to see Artemi Panarin leading the team in scoring, as he's picking up 21 goals and 65 assists for 86 points, while Austin Matthews 1 point shy of a point a game. Nah, now you're just screwing with me. 1 point shy? You hate to see it, you really do. Meanwhile, Vasilevsky's bouncing back from his disappointing season last year. He's picking up 53 wins and 8 shots with a 913 save percentage and 223 goals against. And also shout out to Mark Scheifele, who's leading the league in points with 104, dominating one season prior before blowing the team up. Heading into the postseason, we're going to have a familiar foe in the first round, as we have to take on the Boston Bruins. Surprisingly, even with all the talent on the Toronto Maple Leafs, this series has been going back and forth the entire way, so now we're entering overtime in game 6 with the Leafs having a 3-2 series lead. But it looks like the talent on the Toronto Maple Leafs is just going to be too much for the Boston Bruins to handle, as they're going to be ending this one late in double overtime, and now they're off to the second round. And in the second round, they're going to be taking on last season's President's Trophy winner in the Florida Panthers. Florida's going to do everything they can to compete with the Toronto Maple Leafs in this series, but they're just not going to have an answer for all their depth and great defense, so they're going to be falling in 6 games. So we've reached the conference finals once again, and now we have the Tampa Bay Lightning to take on. Also, somehow the Arizona Coyotes have made the conference finals. Yeah, let's just move on from that. After exchanging the first 2 games, we're going to be headed into overtime in game 3, as this one's tied 4-4. And yes, Jack Campbell is the goalie for Tampa Bay now. And off the ensuing face-off in overtime, Tampa Bay is not going to be messing around too much. Stamkos is going to throw a puck towards the net, but Kucherov's going to be right there for the rebound. He's putting this one in the back of the net, and Tampa's taking game 3. But I think that game 3 loss must have sparked something for the Toronto Maple Leafs, because this team's going to be rolling after that, winning the next 3 games, and they've once again reached another Stanley Cup final. So I don't know what I'm more upset about in the Stanley Cup final. The fact that the Arizona Coyotes took Colorado to 7 games, or the fact that the Arizona Coyotes were 1 game away from the Stanley Cup final, because I would have loved to take this team on. But it doesn't matter who we take on, the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be taking home another Stanley Cup. And that's exactly what's going to be happening, but surprisingly, out of all the teams we've gone against in this postseason run, the Colorado Avalanche are going to be the team not putting up a fight whatsoever, as we're going to be taking them down in a sweep. But I guess that's what happens when you lose Nazem Kadri and Darcy Kemper. Then again, we did take Vasilevsky, Braden Point, and Sergachev away from the Tampa Bay Lightning, so yeah, how did they make it that far? Before we head over to our final game, we gotta see who's taking home the Conn Smythe, and that's gonna be Artemi Panarin, but the stats are glitched once again. Nah, how have the stats been glitched in the past like 6 games? I guess EA is just not gonna fix this issue. But after looking at these numbers, Artemi Panarin definitely deserved it, but so did Leon Draisaitl. Panarin's picking up 30 points, while Draisaitl's picking up 20 goals and 9 assists for 29 points. So there was a handful of guys that deserved the Conn Smythe. But one guy that didn't really deserve it, Vasilevsky, although he's picking up 16 wins, he has some pretty mid numbers of a 907 save percentage and 271 goals against. But I don't care what the numbers look like, we still want a Stanley Cup. And here we are in NHL 23, our final game of the day. Nah, this team's looking absolutely elite. The lowest overall here is an 86, but absolutely everyone on the team has X factors. Looking at the defense, we're going to be seeing our first appearances of Hronek and Montour, and they're both sitting at 87 overalls. And in between the pipes, we have Vasilevsky at a 94 overall. I can tell you right now, we're taking home another Stanley Cup. Meanwhile, here are some of the other pieces on the team that aren't going to be able to play on our final roster. That's going to be Sergachev at an 88, Zach Werenski at an 87, and Zach Hyman at an 87. And we also have some guys in the system, such as Marchessault, Nurse, Deneau, and Dubois. We just have way too much talent on this team, and that talent's going to be showing up this season. As no surprise here, we're finishing first in the Atlantic Division, 58, 13, 11, and with a record like that, of course, we're first in the entire league. That's not really much of a surprise. And it might have taken into our last AHL game, but it's finally happening. Not only is Austin Matthews cracking a point a game, but he's picking up 101 this season, 47 goals and 54 assists for 101 points. You'll love to see it. Now it's time for you to lead us to a Stanley Cup. Meanwhile, Vasilevsky's doing his usual thing, 45 wins with a 902 save percentage and 261 goals against. But shout out to Darcy Kemper, 13 wins with a 930 and a 201. Picking you up as the backup was a great move for us. So here we are in the final postseason run, and now we got to take on the Buffalo Sabres in the first round. Like in the past games, the Buffalo Sabres aren't really going to be putting up much of a fight against us, so we're going to be taking them down to 5-game series. Moving on to our next matchup, we're going to have a tough one as we have to take on the current day Boston Bruins. And after these two teams exchange the first two games, we're going to be headed into overtime in game 3. It's not going to take us too long to find our winner in overtime, as Austin Matthews is going to be checking David Pastrnak. He's going to lose the puck. Matthews is retrieving the loose puck before dishing it over to Kyle Connor. He's going to rip it past Allmark, and Toronto now has a 2-1 lead in the series. And the Leafs aren't going to be looking back after that win, as they're going to be taking this series 4-2, and we're off to the conference finals once again. So here we are in the conference finals, and if this team doesn't win a Stanley Cup, I think that's going to be the biggest disappointment of the video, because the teams left include the Anaheim Ducks, Winnipeg Jets, and New Jersey Devils. Yeah, this Leafs team's just in a different tier, but to be fair, they have been the entire video. And after talking all that smack about the eliminating teams, we're headed into overtime in game 1. But of course, the talent of the Toronto Maple Leafs just isn't able to be stopped. Kyle Connor's ripping a shot towards the net, but Austin Matthews is going to be able to get his stick on that. He's putting this one in the back of the net, and Toronto's taking a very important game 1. After dropping game 2 to the New Jersey Devils and allowing them to even up this series, we're going to be heading back to overtime in game 3. Halfway into overtime with Toronto on the power play, Mitch Marner's going to be bringing the puck into the offensive zone, but he's going to be getting absolutely rocked. Luckily, Austin Matthews is going to be able to pick up the loose puck before he rips it home, and Toronto's now got themselves a 2-1 series lead, and they're not looking back after that. They're going to dominate in the next few games, making it all the way to game 6, where they're going to be taking this one 8-4, and this team's reaching another Stanley Cup final. So here we are in the Stanley Cup final, I believe our 5th one of the video. Can we go 5 for 5 in the Stanley Cup? It looks like we are, because the Winnipeg Jets aren't even going to put up the slightest fight against us. We're going to be taking them down in a sweep, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are once again Stanley Cup champions. And our Conn Smythe winner, Alex DeBrincat. Yeah, I don't know why, that just doesn't sit right with me. I mean, I have no problem with Alex DeBrincat taking it home, but out of all the players on this team, DeBrincat, bro must have dominated in the postseason. So although the goal at the beginning of this video was to win a Stanley Cup in every single NHL game since Austin Matthews was drafted, I would say we did pretty good. I think we went 5 for 7. I'll definitely take that, especially with EA Simulation, because once you get to the postseason, it's really 50-50 for who's going to win.